Adam Longo sat down with Representative Pelosi to talk about the Medicare program.
And we are here with Congresswoman, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here.
My pleasure.
Tell us first what's brought you to Florida today.
Well, I'm here at the invitation of Congresswoman Corinne Brown to talk to her constituents with her and listen to them about Medicare and the budget that is before the House that does serious damage to Medicare.
At this point, what are the concerns that you're hearing from Floridians?
Well, the concern is that Medicare has been a pillar of social stability for our seniors and others who depend on Medicare without being menacing to our constituents, but wanting them to be fully alert as to what is at stake. It is now under threat. In the Republican budget that was just passed the House, there is a way to privatize Medicare into the future, to block grant Medicaid, which affects seniors in nursing homes. And while they're doing this, imagine that we're making it more expensive for seniors to participate in Medicare, where we're giving big tax subsidies to big oil. We're making it harder for seniors in nursing homes while we're giving tax cuts to businesses to send jobs overseas. We're even making it harder for children and for young people, for nearly 10 million of them, to be able to afford college while we give tax cuts to the high end. We think the budget is out of balance, but the biggest differentiation that people understand very clearly is it will eventually abolish Medicare.
Right. I heard you say that yes. This plan will effectively end Medicare,
That's
is
right.
I think the term that you used, where the Budget Committee Chair, Representative Paul Ryan from Wisconsin, right, says it would simply reform Medicare. Right. So what's the truth? Well,
the fact is this, that Newt Gingrich years ago when he was Speaker, he said Medicare is something that should wither on the vine, because they didn't believe in it, and it will do so because people will leave it voluntarily. Under the Republican budget, you won't even have the chance to leave it voluntarily. It won't be there for you to sign up for. Mm-hmm. So reform is a very interesting word. What it means in this case is abolish.
This plan, the Republican budget plan, has passed the Republican-led House.
That's right.
Not a single Democrat voted for it.
I'm very proud of that.
Several Republicans didn't vote for it.
Right.
It has no chance of passing the Senate.
Right.
The president certainly wouldn't sign it. So why go on this public relations campaign talking about the Republicans and this budget plan?
Well, because it's at risk. In the House, they will try to get some of these elements of the budget plan into appropriations bill. That's what the budget is, the blueprint for what comes next in appropriation. More inside stuff than people want to know. Mm-hmm. But the fact is they will try to get elements of this in other must-pass legislation that must go to the president, must be signed for other parts of the government to function. This is something that you should know about your legislator, and ask a member of Congress, where do you stand on making Medicare stronger, more solvent, there for a long time to come? This plan, don't take my word for it, the Congressional Budget Office, which is the nonpartisan budget office of the Congress, wrote to Chairman Ryan about the Republican bill and said that it will cost seniors probably around $6,000 more for the benefits they receive now. So eventually they'll be paying more for less.
Are there parts of Medicare that need to be reformed?
Well, we have already started that. We did in the recovery, the Affordable Health Act. In the Affordable Health Act, we took $500 billion of unnecessary spending out of Medicare, used it to start to close the donut hole and provide better, stronger services for people. The Republicans advertised that as we were destroying Medicare. I think you remember the campaign. Now they're taking that same money, but they're not using it to close the donut hole. They're using it to give to insurance companies, and then saying to seniors, you'll get a voucher, and you go out there and compete in the market. And eventually, you won't be able to even choose your own doctor. Your insurance company will tell you what doctors you can choose. So this is, again, I don't like to have people have an unease about what's happening, but the fact is there's a very serious difference between Democrats and Republicans on Medicare. There has been from day one. It was created by Democrats as a pillar of stability for our seniors. It's a promise that we have made to them about their health security and therefore their economic security. It is greatly at risk with the Republican budget.
You have limited time with us, and I want to make sure that I touch on a variety of topics,
Okay.
one of which is where you mentioned how Republicans and Democrats will need to come together. Redistricting, that's going to be a big fight the next 2 years.
Yes.
What do congressional Democrats plan to do to ensure fairness around the country as state legislatures take up this issue?
Well, all we want is an objective redistricting. Wherever there's an objective redistricting, not partisan, we think that the numbers speak for themselves. We feel pretty confident that there won't be too much difference made by redistricting, but we have to be ever vigilant from the standpoint of the courts to make sure that the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, Section 5, are adhered to, and that the general principles of how you redistrict are objective, not political.
Certainly a lot of eyes, I would imagine, will be on Florida, given that the expectation at this point is that Florida might gain
Yes,
2 congressional
2
seats right here.
Congratulations.
And thank you very much. Right here in Central Florida. So Central Florida once again becomes a battleground, not only for redistricting, you know, as I-4 goes, the saying goes, so does the presidency. And so a lot of eyes have to be on this for 2012.
Well, it is true. But again, there's a process, and of course the success in the last election with the amendments, that there's differing opinions about that. This is a matter for Floridians, and to the extent that we are asked, we will stand ready with legal assistance to protect the rights of our Voting Rights Act population. But again, it's up to the Floridians.
Since I brought up 2012, do you think President Obama will have a tough road in 2012?
Well, I think President Obama will be reelected President of the United States. What the election, though, is about also is making sure the public is aware of what is at stake in the election in terms of job creation, growing the economy, reducing the deficit, educating our children, respecting our seniors, honoring our veterans. What is the choice that is to be made there? And I think that it's important for the public to know the difference when they make the vote. It's going to be very exciting. It's the time, it's the main event of politics in America, and I believe the president has been a great president. I believe he will be reelected. I'm quite certain of it, but you never know until the people speak.
Sure. I've got time for one more question with you, Ms. Pelosi, and that is, why do you think that the GOP does not have a solid candidate at this point? There's no clear front runner. It's all just kind of tenuous right now. Why do you think that is?
Well, I always say to my friends who are Republicans, take your party back, because this is the grand old party, a party that's done great things for our country. Teddy Roosevelt, President Eisenhower in this century, to name 2. But I don't, I think that you see candidates playing to the fringe in the party, and I don't think that that brings out the best in the party. But you know what? It's up to them to choose their candidate. I don't know that it's always just about personalities. It's about values, and I believe that President Obama will take this not to find common ground only, that's a responsibility we have, but to take it to a higher ground about what our vision is for our country and the principles that we want to live by. So I'm excited about the election, and I hope that the Republicans have a good person to nominate. It's up to them.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, we certainly appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.